अन्धस्य ज्ञान अन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं कदा मयि ददापद अन्तिकं। नमो ओम विष्णुपदाय सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Okay, thank you everyone for joining. So we are about to complete the first chapter. Today we will be completing the first chapter, so I thought of having an overview also today itself before starting the second chapter, as we were expecting less attendance today because of the clash also. So in the last class we started Arjun's Vishad Yoga, how he was overcome by compassion and he was showing the symptoms of weakliness. He was not willing to fight anymore. So we started from verse number 27, how Arjuna was showing the signs of compassion. He was overcome by compassion and he was showing the symptoms also. And then from verse number 30 to 35, we discussed how he was considering the loss of enjoyment also. That was the point in fighting, when I will not be able to enjoy anymore. The result will not be as per my expectation. We will, of course, cover it in detail when we are doing the overview of the chapter. So first, we will complete the chapter today. So two reasons we have done so far: compassion and enjoyment. In total, there are 4 reasons. Just remember, there are Arjuna's 4 reasons. Now we are going to do first compassion, second enjoyment. We are done. Today we will do the third reason, sinful reactions. Okay, so we will be starting from verse number 36. Verse number 36 we can have on the screen. So this is all Arjuna Uvacha. Arjuna is citing reasons for not fighting. Verse number 36. Papam eva shred asman hatvetam atyatanahe tasman naraha vayam hantum dharat rashtran sabandhavan swajanam hi katham hatva sukhina shama madhava. Someone please read the translation and purpose.
Should I, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husbands of
Yeah, husband of the goddess of fortune. Mataji, we lost you.
Hare Krishna?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah.
Please continue, Mataji.
Yeah. Once. O Krishna, husband of goddess of fortune, and how could we be happy by killing by our own kinsmen? Purport: according to Vedic injunctions, there are 6 kinds of aggressors: uh, a poison giver, 2, one who sets fire to the house, 3, one who attacks with deadly weapons, 4, one who plunders riches, 5, who occupies another's land, and 6, one who kidnaps a wife. Such aggressors are at once to be killed, and no sin is incurred by killing such aggressors. Such killing of aggressors is quite befitting any ordinary man, but Arjuna was not an ordinary person. He was saintly by character, and therefore he wanted to deal with them. in saintliness. This kind of saintliness, however, is not for a Kshatriya. Although a responsible man in the administration of a state is required to be saintly, he should not be cowardly. For example, Lord Rama was so saintly that people even now are anxious to live in the kingdom of the Lord Rama, Ramarajya. But Lord Rama never showed any cowardice. Ravana was then aggressor against Rama because Ravana kidnapped Rama's wife Sita, but Lord Rama gave him sufficient lessons unparalleled in the history of the world. In anyone's case, Arjuna's case, however, one should consider the special type of aggressors, namely his own grandfather, our own teacher, friends, sons, grandsons, etc. Because of them, Arjuna thought that he should not take severe steps necessary against ordinary aggressors. Besides that, against ordinary excesses. Besides that, saintly persons are advised to forgive. Such injunctions for saintly persons are more important than any political emergency. Arjuna considered that rather than kill his own kinsmen for political reasons, for political reasons, it yeah it would be better to forgive them on grounds of religion and saintly behavior. He did not therefore consider such killing profitable simply for the matter of temporary bodily happiness. After all, kingdoms and pleasures derived therefrom are not permanent. So why he risk his life and eternal salvation by killing his own kinsmen? Arjuna's Arjuna is addressing of Krishna as Madhava or the husband of the goddess of fortune is also significant in this connection. He wanted to point out not to Krishna, not out to Krishna that as the husband of the goddess of fortune, he should not introduce Arjuna to take up a matter which would ultimately bring out in bring about misfortune. Krishna, however, never brings misfortune to anyone. So to say nothing of his devotee.
Sinful reaction. Arjuna is fearing the reaction of the sin he would commit by killing so many people. Papam eva shred asman. Papam, the sin on me. Certainly so many sins will come upon me. So he's fearing that. But then we see the last word in the same line. Atatainaha. Atataina, if you see word to word meaning, it means aggressors. So Prabhupada is trying to tell us, why killing of so many people by Arjuna will not bring him sins, because they are aggressors. Arjuna himself is saying that sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. But according to scriptures, six kind of aggressors can be killed and no sin is incurred by killing them. What are those 6 reasons? Prabhupada tells in the very beginning of the purport, a poison giver. So do we know, did Kauravas give poison to Pandavas? Anyone?
Yes, Mataji. Bhima was given poison.
Yes, so they had committed that. I mean, that aggression was also committed by them. Second reason, one who sets fire to the house. Did they do that also?
Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
The house,
Mataji. Yes.
lakh
Yeah.
house.
The wax house made of glass.
Agree, Mataji.
Yeah, wonderful. And third reason, one who attacks with deadly weapons. Did they do that also? Of course, they did it many times. They would attack them with their deadly weapons. They would get them attacked by deadly weapons also. Fourth one is one who plunders riches. So of course we know they plundered all their riches. They were the rightful inheritors of the kingdom, but they had plundered it. They would not even give them 5 villages. And fifth one who occupies another's land. Again, same thing. The land also, they were riches they took away. Land also they were not ready to share. Sixth one who kidnaps a wife. So Draupadi was also insulted. She was rather, in a way, kidnapped only from her room to the assembly hall. So all these six kinds of aggressions Kauravas had done. So Arjuna had no reason to get back from fighting. He had a right to kill all these people. But Arjuna, Prabhupada tells that Arjuna was not an ordinary person. He was saintly by character. Therefore, he wanted to deal with them in saintliness. He had a right to kill them. Any ordinary person would go and cite the reason and he could kill them. But Arjuna, he didn't want to do that because he was saintly by nature. But saintliness is not for a Kshatriya. When we move down in the purport, Prabhupada is explaining, no, Prabhupada gives example of Lord Rama. Lord Rama's wife was kidnapped. Lord Rama was very, very saintly. We know about Ram Rajya, how good and how happy people were under Lord Ram. But when his wife was kidnapped, he just took to the bow and arrow. He was ready to fight with the demon Ravana. Lord Rama never showed any cowardice. Ravana was an aggressor. He kidnapped Ram's wife. So Lord Ram took the right action. Therefore, saintliness is not meant for Kshatriyas. According to scriptures, there are injunctions for Brahmanas and Kshatriyas. Brahmanas have to be non-violent, but a Kshatriya has to be violent when needed. Not any time and on everyone he has to be just violent and use his power. No, when needed, he has to show aggression. He has to take up the weapons. So we see that Arjuna knows the scripture. Willing to understand how to apply the Shastras. There's Madhava, and Madhava. Dhava is husband. So he's husband of Lakshmi, goddess of fortune. So again, he's saying that you are the husband of goddess of fortune, but you are asking me to fight, and you are bringing in misfortune for all of us. But Madhava, you are doing the wrong thing. This is not what you stand. This is not what your name signifies. You are asking me to fight, and they are bona fide, but he doesn't know how to apply them. And especially when Krishna, Dharma personified, who has made all the rules, he is there in front of him, and he doesn't know what to do. That's why we need guidance of a bona fide spiritual master or a Vaishnava to know how to apply these injunctions. Sometimes we hear and read from here and there, and when the situation comes, circumstances come, we don't know how to apply them. We may misapply them. So we should seek guidance. Okay. So that's all. In the purport, Prabhupada is explaining. Again, Arjuna considered that rather than kill his own kinsmen for political reasons, he should just, give up everything. Because he knew this happiness and all this will be on temporary level, bodily happiness. It will go with the body. So it's not permanent. So why should he risk all this eternal salvation by killing his own kinsmen? So he had all this knowledge, but just that he didn't know how to apply it. Okay. So verse number 37 to 38. Now he will come up with the fourth reason. So fourth reason is destruction of dynasty. He will try to now tell that what will be the consequences, a series of consequences he will tell now from verse number 37, 38, he will just cite this, and 39 onwards till 41st verse, he will give series of consequences of destruction of dynasty if this war takes place. Death of family elders will take place, and then how family tradition will be vanquished, and so many reasons he will give. So we will do that now. Verse number 37, 38. Yadi api ete na pashyanti lobhopahata chetasah kulasya kratam dosham mitra drohe cha patakam katham nagneyam asambhihi papad asmani vartitum kulasya kratam dosham prapashya dabir janardhana.
Hare Krishna. Translation. O Janardana, although these men, their hearts overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends. Why should we can see the crime in destroying a family, engage in these acts of sin, or battle or gamble when he is invited by some rival party. Under such an obligation, Arjuna could not refuse to fight because he had been challenged by the party of Duryodhana. In this connection, Arjuna considered that the other party might be blind to the effects of such a challenge. Arjuna, however, could see the evil consequences and could not accept the challenge. Obligation is actually binding when the effect is good, but when the effect is otherwise, then no one can be bound. Considering all these pros and cons, Arjuna decided not to fight.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Should we do the wrong thing? Okay, just showing that I have the knowledge, so knowledge of scriptures, so I should apply that. I should not engage in this war. And the last part, the last three lines of the purport, if you see, Prabhupada tells, obligation is actually binding when the effect is good. But when the effect is otherwise, then no one can be bound. What does this mean? It's a practical lesson for us. Obligation is binding. So if we know the effect of doing an activity that is good according to the scriptures, then one is bound to follow that activity. One has to perform that activity. But if one knows the effect or the consequences are bad, then one is not bound to follow. So Arjuna is saying the consequences of this act are not good. So why should I follow? So this is another argument given by Arjuna. When we know, killing people is not good, then why should we do it? So Arjuna is coming up again, with a reason, a bona fide reason from scriptures. So now let's see. He will tell in detail now what will be the consequences of this then. Verse number 39. Kulakshay pranashanti kula dharma sanatanaha dharme nashte kulam kritsnam adharmo abhivatiyut. Yes, someone please read translation purport.
Hare Krishna. With the destruction of dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family becomes involved in irreligion. Purport. In the system of the Varnashrama institution, there are many principles of religious traditions to help members of the family grow properly and attain spiritual values. The elder members are responsible for such purifying processes in the family, beginning from birth to death. But on the death of the elder members, such family traditions of purification may stop, and the remaining younger family members may develop irreligious habits and thereby lose their chance for spiritual salvation. Therefore, for no purpose should the elder members of the family be slain. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So now what he's explaining his reason now in detail. What will happen if he fights? Now, he has already mentioned in the previous verse that it's not going to be good. Why should I do that when I know this is going to be wrong consequences? And what will be the consequences now? Kulakshe pranshanti. The destroying the family. The first reason is that he will destroy the family. And then is pranashanti kula dharma. Pranashanti is vanquished, kul dharma is family traditions. So first of all, he will destroy his family. Then what will happen? The family tradition, kul dharma, that will become vanquished, pranashanti. So how will that be? Here, Arjuna is just saying that if war takes place, what will happen? How this will happen? All the elderly men of family, they will die. And then there will be no elderly people in the family to set an example for the rest of the family. How to follow dharma, what is right, wrong. There will be no one there to teach to others. And then what will happen? The women and the children, they will not follow any religious principles. They will not get to learn it. And the women will get polluted. That's in the next verse. But I'm just telling the whole series, because 39, 40, 41, they are all connected. So we can just talk about it in one go only, and then we can read maybe. So the women, what will happen? They will get polluted by the other man because of not following the principles of religion. So from this adharmic or irreligious combination of men and women, what will happen? There will be Varna Shankara. In the next verse, if you see the 40th verse, Adharma Bhivavat Krishna. Because of this irreligion, Adharma, what will happen? Pradushanti Kulistriya. Stris will become contaminated, polluted, Pradushanti. And then the last word is Varna Sankara. When they are polluted, Strisu Dushtashu Varshane Jayate Varna Shankara. They will give birth to Varna Shankara. Now, what is this Varna Shankara? So whenever there is uh, an irreligious or adharmic combination of men and women, there will be Varna Shankara. So that gives rise to the children who are considered unwanted progeny that arises from such a combination. So ideally, the sanskaras, the garbhadhan sanskara, etc., they have to be followed for conception of the children. But when people don't follow, no sanskaras, no religious principles, Prabhupada says that simply children are born like cats and dogs. This is called Vanshankar, born with, very less sanskara, or rather no sanskaras. They don't have any sanskaras, no knowledge of Vedas, scriptures, what is right, wrong. No, I mean, the brain is not good at all. So these children are like animals. Prabhupada tells that, with animalistic consciousness. They will not follow any dharma. Only thing they follow is sense gratification. So then what will happen in the next verse, 41st verse, then it tells, Shankaro Narkayeva Kula Ghananam Kulashacha Patanti Pitro. Now, when these type of people are born, this type of children will be born, then what will happen? The Patanti Pitro, the Pitra, the Pindadan, the Shraddha ceremony, that will also stop because they will not have any knowledge of any sanskaras, any scriptures. So these children, the next generation, they will stop that also, and that will result in the downfall of our ancestors who are there in the Pitraloka. So they will fall down to hell, and the people who are now responsible for finishing the ceremony, they will also fall down to hell. So the entire dynasty that will be destroyed. Everyone will fall to hell. So he's giving, all logical reasons. From 39, 40, 41, we understand all these things. Kulakshe pranashanti kula dharma. Kula dharma finished when all the elders are gone. When elders are gone, no example set for the women. They will be polluted, and the result will be Varna Shankara, that is the unwanted progeny. And because of unwanted progeny, no deliverance of the ancestors, and the people who are committing this crime, they also fall down. So entire dynasty is destroyed. Now, Srila Prabhupada in his lecture, he gives example of one Shankara. He told that in current times, hippies, they are one Shankara. And that was in Prabhupada's times. But now as time is progressing, we can see, of course, whole population is like that. That's why the world is in chaos, because no one is following dharma. Everyone is one Shankara. What is the only one dharma people are following now in this modern world is sense gratification. Shastras give sanskaras from birth to death. There are 40 sanskaras in total. 10 of them are predominant. So Arjuna knows about all these sanskaras and the systems, but again, he is, he's forgetting that Krishna, the personification of dharma, he is giving him instruction. So he can readily take it up. Garbhodhan Sanskar, Prabhupada put so much emphasis upon it, and in ISKCON also we have so many seminars also upon this. Proper consciousness is very important for husband and wife to plan a child. Otherwise, kids like Hiranyakashipu are born, because that was a combination at the wrong time with wrong consciousness. So it should be according to religious principles. So the child is able to understand the Shastras, Vedas, good brain, he can become Krishna conscious. And Pindadan, that is again, it's a subtle process. How the food offered over here, of course, its food is not ordinary food, it's Vishnu Prashadam. First we have to offer it to God, then we offer it to the ancestors. And then how it reaches up in scientific people, they don't agree with this. How is it possible? I'm sitting in upstairs room, you are serving me food on the downstairs floor. So how will the food reach me? They don't understand the scriptural instructions, how this process is so subtle. Our ancestors, they get satisfied when we offer something over here. So this is the main message and the reasons from these 3 verses. We have already done the 39th. We can read the 40th and 41st verse also now. So 40th verse on the screen. Verse is Dharma abhibhavat Krishna pradushanti kul istriya istrishu dushtashu varshane jayate varna sankaraha.
Can I read, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. When irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become polluted, and from the degradation of humanhood, a descendant of Vrishni comes unwanted progeny. Puppet, good population in human society is the basic principle for peace, prosperity, and spiritual progress in life. The Varnashrama religion's principles were so designed that the good population would prevail in society for the general spiritual progress of state and community. Such population depends on the chastity and faithfulness of its womanhood. As children are very prone to be misled, women are similarly very prone to degradation. Therefore, both children and women require protection by the elder member of the family. By being engaged in various religious practices, women will not be misled into adultery. According to Chanakya Pandita, women are generally not very intelligent and therefore are trustworthy. So the different family traditions of religious uh, activities should always engage them, and thus their chastity and devotion will give birth to a good population eligible for participating in the Varnasrama system. On the failure of such Varnasrama dharma, naturally the women become free to act and mix with men, and thus adultery is indulged in at the risk of unwanted population. Irresponsible men also provoke adultery in society, and thus unwanted children flood the human race at the risk of war and uh, pestilence. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we already discussed it, how women and children, especially, of course, everybody need guidance, but women and children, they especially need guidance because of their innocence. Verse number 41. Sankaro narka eva kula ghananam kulasya cha patanti pitro hai esham lupta pinda odak kriya.
I can read, Mataji.
Yes, thank you.
An increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because the performance for offering them food and water are entirely stopped. Purport. According to the rules and regulation of fruitive activities, there is need to offer periodical food and water to the forefathers of the family. This offering is performed by worship of Vishnu because eating the remnants of food offered to Vishnu can sometimes the forefathers may be suffering from various types of simple reactions, and sometimes some of them cannot even acquire a gross material body and are forced to remain in subtle bodies as ghosts. Thus, when remnants of prasadam food are offered to forefathers by descendants, the forefathers are released from ghostly or other kinds of miserable life. Such help rendered to forefathers is a family tradition, and those who are not in devotional life are required to perform such rituals. One who is engaged in the devotional life is not required to perform such actions. Simply by performing devotional service, one can deliver hundreds and thousands of forefathers from all kinds of misery. It is stated in the Bhagavatam. Should I read that? That's the next thing, Mataji.
You can read the translation, Mataji. So,
Okay. Anyone who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, the giver of liberation, giving up all kinds of obligation, has taken to the path in all seriousness, owes neither duties nor obligations to the demigods, sages, general living entities, family members, humankind, or forefathers. Such obligations are automatically fulfilled by performance of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so we already did it. So how patanti pitro? Why? Because of lupta pind odaka kriya. Pind odak kriya, that will vanquish, that will be stopped. Lupta, it is stopped. So then our ancestors will fall down. And Prabhupada gives us a solution now. The The devotees who are engaged in devotional life, they are not even obliged to perform this pindadan and all these rituals like this. Why? Because one who has taken the shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, the last part of the purpose, what happens then? All his obligations, his duty towards demigods, sages, journal living entities, family members, humankind, forefathers, everything is taken care of by Krishna. So just by serving Krishna, by engaging in devotional service to Krishna, everything is taken care of. So Arjuna knows that this is to be done, but now because Krishna is there, just serving him can help him do everything, he's not able to understand that. He is thinking that, whatever he's speaking, of course, that is according to the authorities, but he's not applying. He's thinking that, he's thinking like a devotee. Most of the people, common people also, they argue with us, why Krishna is instigating him to fight and all that. So Arjuna is also having a doubt like that. It will be sinful to kill kinsmen for sense gratification. But actually, Krishna is not engaging his devotee to act sinfully. How can he do that? No? Superficially, it appears like that. If someone asks us also, in Bhagavad Gita, this is all about war. How Krishna could do that? We should have a proper understanding. Superficially, it appears like that. But no, what Krishna does, it's transcendental. It's most pure activity. And it's not sinful. People who don't know Krishna, they say that is immoral. They don't know who is Krishna, what are his actions. But we need to understand, we need to help people also understand. It's like, if the commander in the army, he orders the soldier to do something, it's his duty to do whatever his commander, whatever his senior has ordered him. He should not think what is right and what is wrong. He doesn't have to give his own thought, should I do it or should I not? So order of Krishna is above all dualities, of this material world. On the mundane platform, we think, what is right, what is wrong, will it bring me honor, dishonor, respect, disrespect, happiness, distress. These are all material dualities. But Krishna's order is above all that, because God is all good. There cannot be a wrong side, a negative side of his order. We can't discriminate his order. If we do that, we will be misguided. So his order is on the spiritual platform. We need to understand that. So our only consideration, should be whether Krishna is pleased by what I am doing. If Krishna is pleased by inducing me to fight, to do something wrong also, okay, I should not hesitate. I should do that because it's Krishna's order. And what will please Krishna? Now here Krishna is there to tell Arjuna directly what will please Krishna. That, we can understand from media, transparent via media, that is our spiritual master or the acharyas like Prabhupada, Jagat Guru, he is telling us. So otherwise on the mundane platform, we should not even misunderstand this thing. I'll repeat it now, whatever Krishna tells, we should do that without using our mental discrimination, mental speculations, because his order is on the spiritual platform. But we should not misunderstand it. And we should not concoct the idea that, by doing this, Krishna will be pleased, so I can do it, It should be according to the rules and regulations, according to the scriptural injunctions. So either Krishna should tell us directly, if we are going to break some rule, okay, I can break the rule because Krishna has told me. But now we don't have Krishna here to tell us directly. But we have our Guru, we have the Shastras, we have Acharyas, we have devotees around us to tell us. So if they tell us that no, this is a param dharma, this is a higher dharma than this dharma, then we can do it. So we should understand that. But here Arjuna, he is not able to understand that and is misapplying the knowledge of the scriptures. Okay, so we do that now. Now verse number 42. Dosher etah kula ghananam varna sankara karkehe utsadyante jati dharma kula dharmascha shashvataha. Someone please read translation purport.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Translation. By the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted children, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. Purport. Community projects for the four orders of human society combined with family welfare activities as they are set forth by the institution of Sanatana Dharma or Varnashrama Dharma, are designed to enable the human being to attain his ultimate salvation. Therefore, the breaking of the Sanatana Dharma tradition by irresponsible leaders of society brings about chaos in the society. And consequently, people forget the aim of life, Vishnu. Such leaders are called blind. And persons who follow such leaders are sure to be led into chaos. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So again, he's giving, the further explanation of his reasons. Jati dharma, kula dharma, everything will go. So what is Jati dharma? Jati dharma is, according to the Jati one is born in, like Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. So they have some traditions, some rules to follow. So nobody will be there to teach them that. And Kul dharma is like according to the Kul, according to the family traditions. So they all will be devastated. So there will be no welfare activities like Brahmana, Vaishya, Shudra. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, they all have some duties towards the society that helps in the community projects in the purport. The first line of that tells community projects for the 4 orders of human society. The Brahmanas also have some contribution towards the community. They have to share the knowledge. They have to teach people about right, wrong. Kshatriyas, they have to take care. They have to give protection. Vaishyas, they have to build up schools, hospitals, wells, and all that. That's for welfare of everybody. But if there's nobody to teach them all, this all will go. There's a responsibility for everybody, but then nobody will be there to teach them that responsibility. No example will be set, and people will not be able to follow anything good. So Prabhupada, in his lecture for this verse, he gives us the important lesson again that at the present moment, we have lost all our culture. Nobody is there to set the right example for us. So we have done so many sinful activities, but the only way we can be saved is to surrender to the lotus feet of Krishna. That's the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita also. Sarva dharma paritajya. Verse number 18.66. If we take shelter of Krishna, we can get rid of all the sins. Otherwise, there's no way out. So what is our kul dharma? What is our jati dharma? If nobody is there to teach us all that, we have to understand from Bhagavad Gita that how to keep Krishna or Vishnu satisfied. That is our only family tradition. That is our kul dharma. This is the tradition for everyone, but especially for the Vaishnavas, especially for the devotees. We should be very alert. We should be very careful how to serve and satisfy Krishna by all our actions. Action, thought, words, everything. We should think, will it satisfy Krishna or not? So that is our Jati Dharma, Kula Dharma. And we should pass that on to our next generation also. Okay, moving on to verse number 43. Utsana Kula Dharma Nam Manushanam Janardana Narke Niyatam Vaso Bhavati Iti Anushruma. Yes, someone please. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. O
Yeah.
Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those who destroy family traditions dwell always in hell. Purport. Arjuna bases his argument not on his own personal experience but on what he has heard from the authorities. That is the way of receiving real knowledge. One cannot reach the real point of factual knowledge without being helped by the right person who is already established in that knowledge. There is a system in the Varnashrama institution by which before death one has to undergo the process of atonement for his sinful activities. One who is always engaged in sinful activities must utilize the process of atonement called the Prayaschitta. Without doing so, one surely will be transferred to hellish planets to undergo miserable lives as the result of sinful activities. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So here again in the purport, first line only, Arjuna bases his argument not on his personal experience, but what he has heard from the authorities. So his knowledge is bona fide. It is from the right source, from the authorities, but he doesn't know how to apply it. So again, he is just not ready to fight. Narke niyatam vaso. Everyone will go to hell forever. Niyatam. They will be in hell forever, always. So no way out for them. He's failing to understand that Krishna wanted him to fight. So he should not give any excuse, no offense committed. So, but he's not understanding that. Moving on quickly, we have to do the overview also today. 44th verse. Aho bata mahat papam kartum vyavasita vayam yad rajya sukha lobhena hantum swajanam udhyataha.
Hare Krishna Mataji, can I?
Hare Krishna, yes.
Translation. Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts, driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness. We are intent on killing our own kinsmen. Purport. Driven by selfish motives, one may be inclined to such sinful acts as killing one's own brother, or another. There are many such instances in the history of the world, but Arjuna, being a saintly devotee of Lord, always conscious of moral principles and therefore takes care to avoid such activities. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So again, the same thing. He's just trying to convince he should not fight. He considers it as an atonement, like in the last 43rd verse, but also Prabhupada was telling about prayashita and all. So he's again, considering it as an atonement, as a prayashit for the sin of thinking of killing relatives, that he should give up everything. Drive by the desire to enjoy royal happiness. He's on intent of killing the kinsman. He should not do that. In the 45th verse, now we will see he's ready to give up everything. He thinks this is the atonement for such a thought also. This thought is also not good. Verse number 45. Yadi mam apratikaram ashastram shastrapanayah dhritarashtra rane hanyus tanme shema taram bhavet. Yeah, someone please quickly read. Throughout. So how Prabhupada tells us that he is a great devotee and his everything compassion and all is because of his soft-heartedness, but because of Krishna's yoga maya potency, he is now put into illusion. He's wrongly placing his compassion and all the reasons on bodily platform. Verse number, so these are the reasons given by Arjuna. We cover up till verse number 45. Now Sanjaya Uvacha, verse number 46. Evam uktava Arjuna sankhe rathopastha upavishat visarjya cha sharam chapam shoka samvigna manasah. Now what Sanjay is telling to Dhritarashtra, what's going on at the field? Someone please read.
I'll only read, Mataji. Nobody seems to be there.
No.
Translation. Sanjaya said, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. Purport. While observing the situation of his army, Arjuna stood up on the chariot, but he was so afflicted with lamentation that he sat down again, setting aside his bow and arrows. Such a kind and soft-hearted person in the devotional service of the Lord is fit to receive self-knowledge. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purpose to the first chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of observing the armies.
We have completed the so a big haribol. We have completed the first chapter, but I would like to go for an overview of the chapter because it's might be a bit confusing when we go through it for the first time. We have only 5 participants now, but 6. But still, I will go for it. Whatever we can cover up today, we can continue in the next class, and then we will start the second chapter. So in this chapter, the first verse, what we saw was Dhritarashtra's doubt. He was inquiring from Sanjaya. Sanjay is sitting with him in his room and he's giving him live telecast. So Dharma Kurukṣetra. So first of all, we understood the meaning of Dharma why the Kurukṣetra place, it's a holy place, and what is its significance. It's Dharma. So Prabhupada, he tells us there's an inner significance of this question he's asking, that having assembled at Dharma Kurukṣetra, now what are the Pandavas and Kauravas doing? So we simply take it to be, of course they will fight if they're at the war field, but there's an inner significance. Acharyas help us to understand that. And Prabhupada, he specifically mentions that, there is different places, they have different influence upon the consciousness of the people. And therefore, the outcome may also vary because of the different place. So Dhritarashtra now, he's confused now, he's fearful, he's doubtful that what will happen. Will my sons, they will give up fighting because of the influence of the holy people, they will be ready to compromise? Or will the Pandavas, they are anyways religious people and under the influence of the holy place, will they give up the fight? So he wants them to go ahead with the fight. He wants kingdom for his sons, Duryodhana and all the Kauravas. So he's desirous that his son should get the kingdom, and he's doubtful of the possibility of his son's victory, because the Dharmkshetra, it may influence the people who are following Dharma. And he's also fearful that his sons may compromise because of the influence of the Dharmkshetra. But he's hopeful also that under the influence of the holy place, the Pandavas, they may renounce their claim and they avoid the bloodshed. They just go readily giving up the kingdom to my sons. So he's having, so many confusion, so many things going on in his mind. Acharyas help us to understand that. So that is there, Dharmkshetra, Kurukṣetra, Mamaka Pandavascheva. This thing tells us about his partial nature, how he's calling only his sons, to be, he considers his sons to be belonging to the Kaurava dynasty, and for the Panduputra, he's calling Pandavas. In fact, all of them are from Kaurava dynasty only. So his nephews are addressed as Pandavas. So that shows his partial nature. And then, another thing, the analogy we understand here is about Krishna, like how Dharmkshetra, again, the explanation about that is Kshetra is what? It's a field, a paddy field where paddy is grown. So Dharmkshetra, Dharma is grown. So here, Krishna is the farmer. On a Kshetra, a farmer has to work. So here, who is the farmer? Krishna, the transcendental farmer. He is here to grow the Dharma, the religion. And if we want a healthy crop, then what is to be done? All the weeds, the unwanted plants have to be taken out. So here the unwanted plants or the weeds are the Kauravas, Duryodhana and his associates. So Krishna will wipe them out. Krishna will remove them for a healthy growth of Dharma, for establishing the grains of Dharma. So that is the significance of the first verse. We have so many messages coming out of it. And we also understood the important lesson from it, that we should not be materially attached, like how Dhritarashtra is materially attached. That's why he's perplexed here now. He's anxious. So like the anchor example we gave, we have to remove the anchor of our ship. The anchor of our ship has to be removed. Otherwise, we will not be able to advance spiritually. Whatever effort we put in rowing the boat, if the anchor is not removed, the boat will not move on in the water. So if you want to move on, we should remove the anchor of attachment. And then in verse number, from verse number 3, we started, understanding about the Duryodhanas, the diplomacy, the blowing of the conch shells and how the armies are placed, and the diplomatic attitude of Duryodhana, that we understand from verse number 3. In verse number 3, he's addressing Dronacharya as, Drishdumna he's addressing as Drupad Putrena, Tava Shishyena Dhimata. So he's trying to remind Dronacharya of his previous enmity with Drupad. So instead of addressing his son by name, Drishdumna, he's calling Drupada Putrena, that you had taught the military science to the son of your enemy, Drupad. And now see, he's right here on the other side, on the opposite side, he's the commander there. He's fighting against you. So indirectly saying that you committed one mistake by training him. Now don't commit the second mistake by showing partiality to the Pandavas. So he's not aware that, these things will not work out. Whatever Krishna wants, that will happen. Your strong army and military science, and that will not work if Krishna wants somebody to kill. So he's just pointing out the mistake of Dronacharya, but in an indirect way, so that it doesn't upset his teacher also. And in the 4th verse, then we see, first of all, he judges his enemy from verse number 4, 5, 6 also. So he's trying to judge the Pandavas' army. So again, lesson for us from here. We should know our enemy. We should know the potency, the power of our enemy. Maya, our mind, how it is doing its surveys and posing different problems in front of us. So we should understand, we should not misjudge our enemy. We should be enough afraid of Maya. In material as well as spiritual platform, it's very important for us to understand the power of our enemy. So that's what he's doing here. He started judging his enemy, the army on the opposite side. Great fighters like Yudhana, Virata, Drupada, he's just naming them and is trying to instigate, is trying to encourage his commander-in-chief and the other people on his side. Verse number 5 also is doing that. Verse number 6 also. So this 4, 5, 6, all the verses, he's trying to judge the army, and he's trying to tell his commander-in-chief that don't underestimate the power of the opposite party. But now from verse number 7, he thinks that my side should not be discouraged. If I keep praising the enemy party, my side should not feel discouraged. So he comes to his party. Mama Sanyasya, my people. He addressed them as my. So this sense of me and mine is also there in Duryodhana. That is pointed out here by these words. Mama, my Sanyasya, my army. And then what does he tell about his army? Verse number 8, he starts addressing Dronacharya. Though Dronacharya, Bhishma, all of them are there. But instead of going to Bhishma, he first goes to Dronacharya because he's a Brahmana. So if he addresses Brahmana first, Bhishma being a Kshatriya, he will not be offended. But if he goes to Bhishma first, Dronacharya may get offended. So he's just trying to tell him that Bhavan, he's talking to Dronacharya, that all personalities are here on my side. So it's okay. We are also very strong. Personalities like you all are here, who are always victorious in battle. And he's naming Vikarna also. Yeah, we did that. Vikarna is the brother of Duryodhana. He's not a very great warrior. He's not a Maharathi. But still he mentioned because he had a soft corner for Pandavas. He opposed the disrobing of Draupadi. So he was the only one to do this. So he's like, now also he should not have any soft corner for them. So he wants to ensure that it doesn't switch to the other party. So again, his diplomacy is predicted here. And then in the verse number 9, he names various other people. Besides this, there are many others who are ready to lay down their lives. So not just, these are some names of the chief people I have taken here, but besides them, there are many people out there who are ready to lay their lives for me. So this is all spoken by Sanjaya. Sanjaya is narrating this to Dhritarashtra. And verse number 10, the two key words, apriyaptam and priyapatam, that is used here. So apriyaptam means immeasurable. So he's using these words in a dual way. He wants to make sure that Dronacharya, he understands the meaning that Bhishma, he has affection for Pandavas, therefore it is apriyaptam. His sufficiency is apriyaptam. He will not be able to fight, to his fullest vigor. So Dronacharya have to take the front role and he should be more alert about it. And priyaptam, he tries to target that word for Bhishma. That Bhishma is very powerful and he will be able to protect us. His strength is immeasurable. So there is no fear for us to be defeated from the Pandavas. We will be definitely victorious. So he's using these two words in double way, conveying the double meaning. So again, diplomacy here. And then after glorying, in verse number 11, after glorifying the Maharathis, other warriors should not feel useless. So to encourage them, he says this: Bhishma is an old man, so you all should give protection from all sides. Okay, so we did this. Okay, now from verse number 12 to 19, there is blowing of conch shells and sign of victory of the Pandavas. So how conch shells are blown, and in verse number 13, we see the conch shell of Krishna and Arjuna. They are called transcendental conch shells. So these are the signs of victory we did. The first sign was that the conch shells are transcendental. In verse number 14 only we do it, Divya Shankho. So that conch shell blown by Arjuna and Krishna, they are not ordinary, they are Divya Shankho. And the word Madhava also, that also is a sign of victory for the Pandavas. So from verse number 12 now till verse number 20, we do the signs of victory for the Pandavas. First is Dhritarashtra doubts, then we do Duryodhana's diplomacy, and now we do signs of victory for the Pandavas. In verse number 14, now we see three signs In the verse, we see two signs. In the purport, Prabhupada tells us about the third sign also, the chariot given by Agni. So Madhava is the first sign. He's the goddess of fortune, Krishna. And where is he? He's on Pandava's side. So wherever he is, victory and fortune is promised. And the second thing is Divya Shankho. Their transcendentals were, their conchals were not ordinary, they were transcendental. And the third thing Prabhupada tells in the purport, the chariot of Arjuna was also not ordinary. It was given by Agni, and it was capable of conquering all sides. And then verse number 15, again, all these verses, they tell about, the blowing of the conch shell, how they were just shattering the hearts, and different type of conch shells. The names of the conch shells are also given in these verses. And now verse number 20. Here we learned again important lesson, another lesson. It's a sign of victory also, Kapidhvaja. And the important lesson for us is like how Arjuna, he had Hanuman on his flag. What does that teach us? That he was following the Vaishnava. He was seeking blessings of Hanuman, that kindly help me. You fought for Lord Ram, now I am here to fight for Lord Krishna, so kindly bless me. So that should be the attitude of the Vaishnavas. We should be dependent upon them. We should seek blessings. That's the attitude of the devotees. We should seek blessings from the senior Vaishnavas. We should feel helpless and beg for the mercy. So that's a lesson we did from here. And then we have from verse number 21 to 26. It's so beautiful, Krishna as Bhaktavatsala. So now, till now, Sanjaya was speaking. And now Arjuna, he speaks up. After seeing the army, I mean, when his conchs are blown and everything has happened, now he wants to see the army. He will come in front now. Arjuna Uvacha, and then he asked Krishna to take the chariot in the middle of the two armies. Like, okay, war is about to start now, but because of his compassion, being a devotee, soft-heartedness, he wanted to see first who all are there to fight from both the sides. So he asked Krishna to bring the chariot, and he calls, verse number 23, he calls Duryodhana Durbuddhir. I want to see who are wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. So Durbuddhir also we understood, who are Durbuddhir. Prabhupada explains it to us that one who eyes, others' property, who's always plotting, making evil plans to destroy someone and usurp someone else's property, someone else's right. That person is called Durbuddhir. So we should not be like that. We should be satisfied with whatever Krishna has given to us. It's Krishna's property. He has given some quota to us. We should be satisfied with that and use it in Krishna's service. So we saw that Arjuna is addressing him as Durbuddhir, and he went in the middle of the two armies. And Sanjaya Uvacha, verse number 24. Now here again Sanjaya is talking to Dhritarashtra. He's calling him Bharata, because Dhritarashtra is also descendant of Bharata. Krishna will address Arjuna later on as Bharata, but in this verse, Sanjaya is addressing Dhritarashtra as Bharata. So descendant of Bharata. And then the two words we did, Rishikesha and Gudakesha. Rishikesha is for Krishna and Gudakesha is for Arjuna, because Arjuna was a conqueror of sleep, and Rishikesha, he has control over mind and senses. So Sanjaya is telling that having thus been addressed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna, he drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both the parties. And in the verse number 25, in the presence of Bhishma, Drona, all other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here. So he addresses Arjuna as Partha. So this verse is spoken by Sanjaya. He's telling Dhritarashtra, what did Krishna say? Krishna said, O Partha, no, all the Kurus are assembled here. Just see them now. Why did he address him as Partha? Again, Acharyas help us to understand that he's trying to remind him the relation, son of Pritha, son of Krishna's aunt, Kunti. Kunti's another name is Pritha. So he's trying to remind him that we are relatives, and you are my close friend also, and you're related to me. Now, will you not do what I'm asking you to do? Krishna could, of course, being the supreme God, being the super soul, he could understand what is going in Arjuna's mind. He's thinking of giving up. So he was like, will you not do what I'm asking you to do? So, oh Partha, just take a look at it. He wanted to instigate the affection, and he wanted to stage the bewilderment of Arjuna. So therefore, he also parked the chariot in front of Dronacharya and Bhishma. And Bhakta Vatsalya, how Krishna, the supreme God, he accepted the role of a driver. And he did whatever is Arjuna asking him to do. Yeah, I think I missed that word achyuta in verse number 21, 22 only. When Arjuna asked him to take the chariot, he calls him achyuta. Achyuta means infallible. So Krishna, you are infallible. You never fail from your promise. And now when you have accepted the role of being my driver, do what I'm asking you to do. So here Arjuna is becoming the controller and Krishna is becoming the controlled. And how great Krishna is, he is ready to do anything for his devotees. Is he obliged to do that? No, no one can force him. But out of his own sweet will, out of his love for his devotees. And who are the devotees for whom, Krishna is ready to do all that? Who love him, who serve him selflessly. This is how then Krishna reciprocates. He's the supreme God and he's renouncing his godhead only. This is the greatest renunciation he's showing here. The position of God he's renouncing here and is taking up the position of a menial servant, just a driver. So how great and how loving Krishna is for his devotees. So we understand that. And then we also discussed, whom should we serve? Who should be our master then? What's the difference in serving a spiritual master and a material master? And you all gave wonderful points. So we have a good understanding of that now, that Krishna is the supreme master, the best master. Whatever little also we can do for him with a sincere intention, that will not go unnoticed. Krishna will definitely reward that. And that reward is also not just temporary, it's eternal. That reward can also save us from the real problems of life, not just temporary problems, but real problems. What is real problem? Birth, death, old age, and disease. Only Krishna can do that for us. Nobody else can. So therefore, it's always wise. It's the best thing to serve Krishna, accept him as our master. Okay, so we did that. And so when we see, how by seeing everybody, when the son of Kunti Arjuna saw all these different grades of friends, relatives, compassion overcame. So now the signs, these symptoms or Krishna's reasons for not fighting, Arjuna Vishad Yoga is starting from verse number 27. So by seeing that, compassion was generated in his heart. In verse number 28, he says, Swajanam, my people. He's not considering only his army to be his. He's considering both the side people to be his. Duryodhana's army also. He doesn't want anybody to die. So this feeling of, we understood, from Prabhupada's lectures that my family, me and my, who are connected to me, the family and all, this idea comes from Krishna only. Because Krishna has a family, we also have a desire to have the family. But what type of a family we should have, that we need to know. In a materialistic family, what happens? It's only ego clash. Everyone consider only himself to be the supreme. His satisfaction should be there. So clashes and problems are very natural. So the family idea is from Krishna, but if it is on bodily concept of life, it is just a materialistic platform, then it can't be a happy family. So whether it's our individual family or whether it's extended ISKCON family, we should keep Krishna in the center. Then only we can be happy. So having family is not bad, but having Krishna in the family center is important. If you don't have Krishna in the center, then it's bad. So that's the practical lesson we learned from there. Then moving on. These are the symptoms he's showing now. In verse number 28, he said, no, this compassion 27 onwards, compassion is generated. And now he's showing the symptoms. My hair standing, my bow slipping, my skin burning. And Prabhupada tells us in the verse number 28 that these are the signs of devotee because he's soft-hearted. In verse number 29, then he says that this is material conception of life. Why? Because Krishna's yoga potency has taken over him. And verse number 30 now, he gives the next reason. He starts with the next reason. The first reason was compassion. That is covered up till verse number 29, along with the symptoms he's exhibiting. And verse number 30 onwards, this is the next reason he's trying to prove, that there will be no enjoyment. The words nimitani vipritani. When something is opposite, viprit to what we expect, then what's the point in doing that thing? So it's like we expect enjoyment, happiness by winning over, by attaining the kingdom, but that's not going to happen, Krishna. Why? In verse number 31, again, he tells, Nacha Shreyo Anupashyami. I don't see any good. Shreyas is long-term benefit. There's no long-term benefit, Krishna, I see from it. So what benefit in fighting? So what am I doing here? So that's the frustration frustration he's feeling here now. It's not going to serve any purpose. And then verse number 32 to 35, this long, all the 4 verses combined here, is clearly explaining about enjoyment. And is addressing Krishna by 3 names: Govinda, Madhusudana, Janardana. But he's misusing all these names. That Govinda, you have control over the mind and the senses, then you know what my senses want. My senses don't want to fight. My mind doesn't want to fight. So why are you asking me to fight? Let this fight not happen. I mean, I should not fight. What you should do? Janardana. You maintain everybody, you destroy everybody. So why don't you destroy these people also now? Why are you engaging me in this? My senses don't want it. So satisfy my senses. You are Janardana. You annihilate them. You kill them. You will not get any reaction also. Again, Madhusudana. Madhusudana is also the killer of the demon Madhu. So you have killed demon Madhu. Now you kill these demons also. But Arjuna is misusing this. His like, what we call that. He's considering Krishna to be, the taker of his order. Krishna should supply me whatever I order. That's not the case. We have to be, Krishna has to be served by us. We don't have to expect any service from Krishna. Krishna is Govinda. Prabhupada explains it very nicely in the purport. Govinda is not meant for satisfying our senses. If we try to satisfy the senses of Govinda, then automatically our senses are satisfied. That's why it's called Govinda. It's not that my senses want this, this, so Krishna, you do that. Because you are Govinda, you can satisfy my senses very easily. No. If we satisfy Krishna's senses, then our senses will be satisfied automatically. So we need to understand that. So his fear now, his reason now is loss of enjoyment. What will I do, Krishna? Nothing. Ka priti, the last word only, ka priti. What pleasure will I get from this? From the kingdom. So materialistic platform also, people have that, self-glorification, sense-gratification. This is all on material and subtle platform. If we come on spiritual platform, we don't have to think about self. But Krishna wants, only that is considered. But Arjuna is failing to do that. Okay, verse number then 36, we did the third reason for not fighting, that is sinful reaction, that sins will fall upon me. But Prabhupada explains in the purport, for these 6 kinds of aggressors, if someone takes up the weapon or attack them, fight back, then no sin is incurred. So Arjuna is not able to apply the knowledge of the scriptures properly, even though Krishna himself is there, who has made all this dharma, all the principles. Still he is not able to follow that. So that is the third reason he gave. Verse number 37, 38, he gives the next reason, 4th reason, destruction of dynasty. My family will be destroyed. And then verse number 39, 40, 41, and 42 also, we did the consequences of such a destruction. How the women will fall down and they will become polluted. And then Varn Sankara will be born. And then all the ancestors, the forefathers, they will also fall down. And everybody will go to hell, and the dynasty will be destroyed. Jati Dharma, Kul Dharma also will be destroyed. So we understood what is our real Jati Dharma, what is our real Kul Dharma. There's nobody to set an example for us now. Like Arjuna is quoting here, when the elders are gone, nobody will be there to set the example, and then this is what will happen. So now in the current situation also, we don't have anybody to set up right example for us. So we should understand what is our Jati Dharma, what is our Kul Dharma. Our Kul Dharma is to satisfy Krishna, to please Krishna. If he's happy, then everything is done. Okay. So we did that, and then yeah, that's all. So 43rd verse again, Narke Niyatam Vaso, they will go to hell. And 44th, 45th verse, he's ready to, go for atonement already, because he's having an intention of killing kinsmen. It's like, no, how can I have a thought like that? I'm ready to give up. No, ashastram, apratikaram. I will not resist, no weapons. Still, if they want to kill me, let them kill. I don't want to, engage in this war. I've heard from my district succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed, they dwell always in hell. So I can't do such a grave sin. Let me give up this. My family will be destroyed. So these are the 4 reasons he's giving. We all should be very much clear with that. The first reason is compassion. Second reason is sinful reaction. Enjoyment. First reason is compassion. Second is enjoyment, loss of enjoyment. Third reason is sinful reaction. And fourth reason is destruction of dynasty. And now Sanjaya, in the last verse, he tells Dhritarashtra that having said this, Arjuna, he cast aside his bow and arrow and he sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. Now from verse number 2, Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna will start speaking. He will start singing Bhagavad Gita from verse number 2. What will he, the solution will also be given in the same order. Whatever the reasons we have quoted for Arjuna's not fighting, Krishna will give the answers to all that. Now from verse number, chapter number 2, we will start that next week. Thank you, everybody. We crossed the time limit also today, and our apologies for the inconvenience caused due to technical issues. And everyone, please, you all are so regular. I've been seeing this same number of, about 10, 12 devotees. They have been attending all through, and it's really appreciated. And we request you to encourage your friends, your known people also to attend these classes so that we can have question answer sessions and we can make it interactive. Listening to, the audio or watching the video recordings, that may not be helpful always. So if you have any questions, any doubts, it's good to be present in the class itself. So encourage them. From chapter number 2 now, most of them should be present. Sometimes it's not possible. That's okay. That's understood. That's why we are recording, but it's good to be present. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.